Good morning, everyone. It is a Monday towards the end of June, and we are coming to you live from Market Hunters, the podcast here that we have. We are growing substantially. We're getting a lot of feedback, so I'm going to bring in our guest, John Lai, who is with PetVivo. John, thank you for being on the program this morning. I'm looking forward to really diving in depth and talking about a lot of this developments that are going on. So thanks for being on the program today.
Well, thank you, Hunter. Glad to be on.
Thank you, John. Okay, so we're just going to kind of dive into it. You know, we're ending the month. I know we had you on about a week and a half ago, talking about the new human trials that you're forming the human task force. There's a big press release that came out about that. We really dove into what that means for the market and what that means for PetVivo. But I've been getting inundated with questions over the weekend and last week across my Twitter, across many conversations I've had with some financial guys that have been following this stock and following a lot of these conversations. And one of the big questions that comes up is, how is this going to affect the PetVivo company? So what I'd like to do, John, is kind of get a breakdown where we go back to the beginning of the structure of the company and kind of get your thoughts on it. Because where are you getting the money from? People are talking about, wow, human trials. So they think, how long the type of, drug discovery process and approval takes. So I really want to break that down for not just the investor, the short-term investor, but also the long-term investor on what the strategy for the corporation is going to be. So go ahead, John, the floor is yours.
Sure. So PetVivo Holdings is a parent of multiple entities. We have three entities that are wholly owned. The first one being PetVivo Inc., which handles sales, marketing, and distribution of veterinary products. The second one is Rollout Technologies, which handles the manufacturing of veterinary products, but also has the capability and capacity to handle any type of human manufacturing of medical products. The third division, which we did our human clinicals in, was formed in 1999, and it received, multiple millions in NIH grant money, where we did the 145 human study that got us the designation as a human medical device. The importance of that designation means that you do not have to do phase 3 of the studies, which reduces the cost and time to market significantly. You can do a 510K or a PMA, but we'll probably take the PMA route because it's much easier to get human insurance reimbursement. So from the essences, as we roll forward and working with the advisory task force, determining which are the first products we want to put into clinical trials, the capital would actually be raised in the wholly owned subsidiary. So there is no dilution to the parent side. And actually I feel that it will monetize the human value of the IP portfolio for the parent. So, that's the path we take, because people that invest in the human side, especially at this stage when we have data from the NIH study, and then we'll have significant data by the time we go to market to raise capital on the animal side to support a lot of the claims we want to make in the human side.
John, let me just break down two things that you said that are very important, which I think are critical for our listeners. Number one is the phase 3. Talk to us a little bit about what that means from a cost-saving perspective. Can you put a dollar figure on that? Because I know people think in the tens of hundreds of millions of dollars for something like this, but because of the age of the company and how long they've already been doing this, i.e. the subsidiary you're referring to, talk to us about the cost savings and really what that means.
Yeah, when you have to do phase 3, it can bring your total cost up to like $500 million to get through the process.
Wow.
I think because we have such a long history of safety data, especially when we did the 145 human study, as well as all these animals, because it's the same particles, that the time to market will be significantly reduced. And I think per product is between 30 and 50 million to get it to market. And we're talking about a significant market size. So let's say we're doing a osteoarthritis product for hips, knees, backs, and so on. That on an annual basis, on a global basis, is north of 200 billion a year. So we feel we could be
Right, that's a huge cost savings. If you're talking 500 million on average for what these companies have to go through, and you're thinking only 30 to 50, that's a $450 million cost savings right there. And you're able to go to market, what, 2-3 years faster than what a normal company.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, at least 2-3 years faster, because I've seen clinical studies go 7 years. And it
Right.
all depends on the administration too. Democratic administrations tend to take longer for the FDA. Republican administrations tend to be quicker, and hopefully, our product, because it's serving such a big need in terms of back pain, knee pain, and so on, as the population gets older and older, that we can get a accelerated review and going through the FDA quicker, because we are doing good. The product will demonstrate within the animal side, it's demonstrating really good efficacy.
Well, especially if you could get this plugged into entities like the Department of Veterans Affairs, where they suffer tremendously with these types of ailments, where this product could potentially be critical. I don't want to make it a political issue, John, but I mean,
No.
Democrat or Republican, this is something that does good for humanity, right? So I think
Yep.
that's kind of the focus.
Yeah, I
here.
wasn't trying to make a political issue. I was trying to
Yeah,
say certain
yeah.
administrations, they go faster. The FDA.
Right. Well, and that's a good point for the people, because a lot of the investors that we talk with, a lot of the way we look at the fundamentals of companies, John, is that 3 to 5 year hold. And so right now we see that this is perfectly aligned with that strategic investment criteria when analyzing the companies. So
another point I like to bring out is, as we roll forward on the human side, there's going to be a manufacturing plus agreement with Gel Technologies in the human division. So in essence, we're bringing the fixed cost down for PetVivo Holdings itself. So there's a benefit there. Also, when we do R&D, it's R&D cost plus for the human side. So both of those will lead to a fixed cost reduction within PetVivo Holdings itself. So there's a lot of benefits in doing this type of structure. I've seen this type of structure work effectively multiple times, and I've been involved with companies where we did this type of structure, and shareholders benefited greatly on both sides.
Well, I think that's a very important point. And I just want to pull up, for our listeners that they're following this PETV, the trading asset, you will still be able to make an investment. So investors that may want to take part in the subsidiary, what is the methodology for going about that process? Or do you encourage investors to look at PetVivo Holdings? As CEO of the company, what's your direction or your message to the
Well, right now, it's the only tradable instrument that's public on NASDAQ is PetVivo Holdings. But as we roll forward, excuse me, as we roll forward, the human side will bring in financing. And generally, when you're at this phase, you deal with special funds that really understand the clinicals, because we're very confident our clinicals are very good, because we're seeing in the animal side. And that's why we're attracting the high caliber of people on the animal side. But a lot of those people also understand the human side because they're doctors.
Right.
And when you see the task force, I think that will confirm it. So it will probably be funded with a handful of institutions that deal in this type of situation. And then as we go into the studies and start reporting phase 1, phase 2, that would probably be a separate IPO on its own.
Okay, but still under the PetVivo Holdings corporate.
Oh yeah, PetVivo shareholders will benefit on the human side, but I think the value, 1 + 1 is greater than 2, as that spins off on its own.
Sure. Well, no, I think creating this type of venture model where you're able to spin off these subsidiaries because of their standalone products are billion-dollar market cap products on their own, that does a testament to how the shareholders of PetVivo, the parent company, are going to benefit greatly. John, a couple more questions, because I really wanted to drive this home, because people are asking from a rollout strategy. Last time we talked about potentially Q1 of 2024. Are we still on the timeline for that, or what is your thoughts? Because I know you're putting together this task force. When does the clock start that the trials are starting and humans are coming out saying, look at me, I was a runner, I was an athlete, I've used this, it's great. When do the testimonials start coming out?
Well, the task force will come together and start saying, okay, this is target number one we should be doing. Once we have that determined, then we'll start announcing the various trials. Chances are we're going to focus on one at a time, which is the first priority. Most likely it'll probably be for osteoarthritis because we have so much data on it. And then the animal data coming in September, October will really solidify to give us the extra ammo. So everything is still on target at that time. But also it's always a function of the stock market. If the stock market's cratering, it's going to be harder to do the human financing. If it's doing decent or well, it won't be much of an issue because people see and recognize the valuation of each one of the products, because each one is addressing north of $1 billion a year in sales, where we feel we have better efficacy and safety profiles.
So, John, but on that point, though, are you finalizing out the task force? Are you going to continue adding more people to the task force, or is it a set number? At what point are they going to come together and say, we have decided this is the best way to go forward? And I think that's an important question because that helps us understand when we can start seeing, when my grandfather or my grandmother will be able to take advantage of some of this stuff.
Sure. So I think we'll finalize the task force within 90 days, and then we'll make an announcement of the task force, and then they'll go to work, because a lot of we're still waiting for the animal data September, October, because once they have that, it solidifies which one is the quickest path to get product to market and show studies going in that space, in the human space.
No, that's great, John. I think this is very exciting. So for all of our listeners, even if they're just tuning in or you go back, I encourage, please go back and watch this particular episode with John. Why do I say that? Because he breaks down the actual difference between the human solely owned subsidiary that's going after and creating the human task force, but it's also focusing on, the capital raise there, which is going to have a positive impact potentially on the parent company, which is PetVivo Holding. And so I know a lot of people have asked questions about it. Also, follow the company on their website, follow their press releases that are coming out. They're putting the names of the people in that are joining the task force, so you'll be able to research those. We'll also post those across all of our different social links as well. So I think that's very, very important. John, I'll just kind of give you the last 60 seconds here. Anything you want to share with our audience, or anything that you want to re-emphasize for our audience?
Well, I think it speaks volumes that we constantly get contacted by people wanting to come to work for us with the larger companies, like Merck Animal Health, Zoetis, and so on, because they do know the industry. They do know our product SPRYNG with OsteoCushion Technology. And it makes me very proud. We put together an all-star team within PetVivo Inc. You look at their resumes, you look at their backgrounds, they're all 20-some plus years in the industry and being very successful. So in closing, that's what I want to stress people. It's all about the people that you surround yourself with and the caliber of people.
Well, no, I think that's good. John, I really appreciate you being on the program, and we look forward to keeping the conversation going and following the development of this because it's very exciting.
Thank you, Hunter.
Thanks, John. That was John with PetVivo. Make sure you like and follow their stock symbol. It is PETV. Also, if you have questions, you want to interact, go to StockTwits, go to Twitter. The company is very responsive on there, so we're a big endorser of that. Just a couple of house cleaning rules before we sign off. Make sure you like, subscribe across all of our channels, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook now, and coming to Roku. We're just finalizing a couple of details with what we're going to do with that media aspect. So we're going to reach a much larger audience. But we like bringing you these conversations with leaders like John, who's built an incredible company, and now they're moving into the human aspect of this, which is going to be incredible. Especially, I'm personally interested to see how it's going to affect the athletic market and what that's going to mean for industry and recovery time. So we're very much looking forward to it. So once again, as always, I really appreciate you joining the program, and join us again next time for another episode of Markets Hunters right here across all platforms.